Welcoming into the show Jay Young. He is at JRYoungTX on X. And he also has the expertise in the oil and gas industry. He's an author, founder, and CEO of King Operating Corporation. KingOperating.com is the website. Jay, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks, Stacy. Appreciate you having me on again. Good hearing your voice.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear your voice, and we need you here to talk about Biden dropping out of the race. He has been a sledgehammer on the oil and natural gas industry. He has driven up our costs. He has refused to give new leases for them to explore and to continue to create new opportunities for us to have good American energy. And we expect Kamala will continue that legacy. But is it good for gas prices? Bad? What's the situation?
Well, it's not an immediate effect because there's so many different things that need to happen to make sure that we have oil. Let's don't forget, right? It's all about supply and demand. That's what drives prices up or down. If we have more supply on the market, demand's down, obviously prices go down. But we haven't had that opportunity with Biden. There's places that we need to drill in the United States to bring gas prices down. And we, like I said, we haven't had that opportunity yet. But at some point, we do see that prices are coming down right now, and I think they will, especially before the election. You never know what's going to happen with the Democrats. I mean, they've got the pedal to the metal on all the strategic reserves or something. You never know what's going to happen, but they do like it when you're driving to go vote and you stop by the gas station and you're paying less. That's kind of a reminder right there that, hey, guess what? Maybe I should vote Democrat instead of Republican, because Republicans in the drill sector, think that's they just like prices to be down when you're going to the polls, obviously.
Yeah, and the prices under the Republicans, they tend to stay down. I mean, you can complain about the reproductive rights and the social issues, but the fact is, people were still able to get abortions when Trump was president. They're still able to get them now. You just, if you're driving there, you're spending $1.50 more per gallon for gas, and that should be what matters, way more than whether or not people have abortions or not.
Exactly. And what do we do about the places? Trump had a lot of oil and gas executives at Mar-a-Lago not long ago, and he said, hey, you guys put $1 billion in my campaign, and I'll let you go drill wherever you want to go drill in the United States or offshore, wherever you have leases that you weren't able to develop. I'll make sure that you do. Just give me $1 billion. I mean, Trump's going to ask big, right? He's not going to ask for a couple $100 or something. He's going to ask for the big money, which he did with a bunch of oil executives. So he's ready. He's already stated, obviously that's Thursday night. He mentioned drill, baby, drill a few times, and the oil and gas industry will see a big jump in supply, and that he is saying that he brought oil and gas prices down. He filled our strategic reserves at $30-$40 a barrel, and then Biden let it go at $70-$80 a barrel. So you will see something different on the oil and gas sector with a Republican instead of a Democrat. So it's a long story, and it's a lot of different factors, and we're with that demand continues to go up in the United States. As a matter of fact, we'll see more demand as we continue to export more oil. In today's world, we're doing that more exporting of oil. We're not doing natural gas yet. I believe that's going to change in the new administration, whoever comes in. So natural gas prices could see a good bump. But I know you didn't call me about that. You called me about the gas prices and what's going to happen there. So
no. These things are tangentially related, or they're directly related. So your comments on that help us to have a fuller understanding of what you're talking about. So I don't mind you heading off in that direction, because let's face it, there's so few places to get good information. If we run off on a tangent and people learn something new that they can take with them, and they're bound to hear somebody talking utter nonsense about it, and they'll be able to say, actually, that's not quite accurate. Here's what I know. That's why we're here. So I think that's good. Let's talk about the. There's a lot of news. You have Kamala Harris securing the delegate support needed for the actual nomination. She had a big speech in Milwaukee today and said, we're not going back. And it was trending, and everyone was saying that she has just, eviscerated Trump. But then when I watched back on the clip, I was like, oh, so she's basically repeating all the lies about these hoax cases against Trump. But what is she talking about not going back to? I want to go back to $1.89 a gallon gas. That's when she says we're not going back. That's what Trump gave us. He gave us peace in the Middle East, the Abraham Accords, no new wars, net zero inflation. Right? What's not to want? I want the old stuff.
Yeah, and that's true. And there's just so many regulations that happen and restrictions under Democrats, especially oil and gas. We have a place in Colorado that right across the road, they are drilling like crazy in Weld County, Colorado, but in Larimer County, which is on the other side of the interstate, that county does not like oil and gas. It's taken us 2 years to get a permit to deepen a well to see if we can get some more oil. And it's just a matter of where you are. And if, like in Texas, hey, we can get a permit in a week, maybe 2 weeks max, but we can get a permit real fast. But in Colorado or Wyoming or those other California, other states, they just do not like the oil and gas markets. I know they drive cars. They like the roads to be very flat and no bumps. But that's what you do with oil. There's a lot of different factors in oil besides just filling up your tank that we need in this country. And matter of fact, that's kind of what is oil. 40% of it, 50% of it goes to gasoline, and the other goes to plastics or makeup or roads. And there's so many different things that we use oil for that it's very well needed. We need to continue drilling in the United States. I think under a Harris administration, I don't think you would see that as much as you would Trump. So therefore, prices will stay up to $3. I'm being like $3 a gallon right now, and it's just going to take. It would take time, but in my opinion, with Harris being from California, I think that she'll really start getting a lot more restrictions, and she'll be well known because a lot of California people. I know you have people listening from California, and I love California, but they do not like oil and gas drilling in that state. They are definitely, against it. They do not want it. Therefore, they don't mind paying because you can go out there right now and it's probably $6-7 in some places because they just don't have the oil and gas. They have the oil and gas reserves, and you can do a lot of drilling.
We were there in the end of January, early February, and we had to put a quarter of a tank into the rental car because we really didn't drive it much while we were there, and it was over $7.35.
Yeah.
But in the springtime, remember the gas prices go up the closer you get to the summer, and we were there before that hit, and it was. I said to my husband, I said, What fresh hell is this I'm looking at on this? It says $7.35. He said, yep, that's what it is. I said, at the pump. The pump showed that too. He said, that's the price. I thought it was something different. I don't know how could I explain it? I can read. I've pumped gas before. I should have known. You're in California, and we were in Los Angeles, and it is more expensive there than some other parts of California, but the whole state's suffering under those prices, and it's normative for them.
Yeah, it really is. They just do not like it. They don't drill for it, and all the western states they don't believe in it. They don't. They have to get oil. If they do they have to get it from the Bakken, or they have to get it from West Texas, and transportation cost, and of course they charge you $1 a gallon. $1 a gallon I think is what the tax is. So all the taxes and everything else is just it's plentiful, and they have a lot of issues there, and that's why there's so many Teslas. There's a lot of Teslas out there, and I know that Elon Musk likes California for his Teslas because they're selling. I forget how many cars they were going to sell this year, but it's like double what they sold last year. And There's a lot of Teslas out there because of that.
Yeah, that's the model for the entire country. Make gas so
right.
expensive that we all want electric vehicles, but I still won't want one because I don't want to sit around and wait for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. I will
Right.
never want one. I don't
Right.
have that kind of I don't have time wealth, you see. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Some people
I
have time
understand.
wealth. They have lots of time on their hands. They have lots of time in their lives. They don't have a lot of commitments. Their calendar is amazingly open. I don't have that. My calendar's always
Right.
full. I always have people
Right.
wondering where I am. I thought you were going to. Can you come? We thought you could. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
time to sit around and wait for a car to charge.
Right. Right. I'll tell you, and that's exactly right, and that's what happens, and that's what California gets used to it because I guess they don't have far to drive, or they stay in traffic. I know there's a lot of traffic in California. I don't see how they do it, but they burn it. And of course, there's a lot of oil that's needed in those cars, I mean, to make the cars or make the tires and make a lot of things with oil. So crude's going to be around for a while, and I don't see the drilling. I mean, I know that there's a lot more to drill baby drill than just drill baby drill. It's not like, President Trump just goes, go baby drill, and all of a sudden everybody goes, oh, okay, well, let's just get right to it, President Trump. But it doesn't happen that way. I mean, it takes a lot of infrastructure. It takes a lot of money, especially money, billions and billions of dollars, which he was very successful doing during his last administration because there was a lot of investment from Blackstones and the big Apollos and a lot of teachers' funds and all those that were putting money into oil and gas drilling, either through the private equity sector or they put it into oil and gas companies or buying stock, and they're not there anymore, which is good for us and our company, King Operating, but not necessarily for the drill baby drill, because a lot of companies they love the money, but then all of a sudden when it dries up, it dries up. I mean, people literally lose hundreds of billions of dollars during that time frame, and I don't believe they're going to come back. I just don't think that the private equity companies that have access to hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars, I don't think they're going to come back in the oil and gas sector, because they know what will happen if you don't you're not a good strategic investor in the markets, and you don't buy and sell an asset, or you buy and sell, and you're buying and buying and buying, and all of a sudden when the last chair, somebody's in the last chair, and all of a sudden prices go down, you can't sell, which means that it hurts the investors, and a lot of investments don't want to come back to that market. So we at our company, we do things differently. Our strategic investment opportunities are a lot different than what you could do in other funds that don't sell. They don't want to have an exit strategy, but our company, if you want to talk about that, we can talk a little about King Operating, and what we do. But a lot of companies just don't have that exit, so they're left holding the bag with a lot of investment out there and no return, and it's just hard for companies like that to get money. I mean, like, we need $100 million a year to keep a rig running, and that's hard to get when all the money's dried up and you just can't do it. So I know that Trump's saying, yes, let's go and drill baby drill, but you need prospects, which a lot of companies, especially with a lot of the mergers that are going on in the Permian Basin, there's a lot of locations that are available, but you have to have a lot of money to go drill those locations, and I don't see the money being there, and I don't know how much companies like Exxon, they have 2 or 3 people on their board that are I don't know why. It's Exxon, right? The biggest oil and gas producer literally in the world, and you have people on their board that say, don't drill. I mean, you think they'd be on a software board or something, or Facebook or something. Not an oil and gas company, but there are people on these boards that go into meetings saying, we don't need to drill anymore. We don't want to drill more. We want to drill less, and let's give our dividends back to our investors, and let's don't deploy that capital, because of a lot of times when you see prices when they're going up and up, that's when companies want to continue drilling wells because the economics are a lot better. So therefore, they see an opportunity that they have. But if their board is telling them, let's cut our budgets and let's don't drill as much, then you're seeing not as much drilling. So that means the supply is going to go down. And when the supply is down and the demand's up, you know what happens. I mean, it's all about supply and demand. You'll see prices continue to go up. So I can see prices continuing to go up, whether or not you do have Trump or you have Harris in there as president, just because of that reason. It's not easy to turn a faucet on and turn a well on. It's not that easy. You have to go, find the location. You have to go, find 100 different vendors to go drill one well. You have to put in $10 million or $15 million. I mean, it is expensive to do that. So it's something that's very difficult to do in regards to, increasing the barrels of oil in the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
Matter of
it's
fact,
a complex.
there's a lot of, and I can go on and on about this. I mean, just tell me when you've heard enough. But a lot of oil in the United States right now is not even being used in our refineries. We produce 13 million barrels of oil right now, which is up from the last couple of years. We're producing 13 million barrels a day, but we still need 20 million barrels a day in the United States, which means that we have to look for 7 million barrels from other countries. But not only that, but we're also exporting 2 to 3 million barrels because our refineries in the United States are not built to refine the oil that we're producing in the United States. So we need that crude out of Canada. It's a lower gravity crude. Russia was a really good proponent of that type of oil, which we're not buying it from there anymore. But all these different places that we need that oil. So if you look at it, do the math, 20 million barrels a day is what we need. That's our demand. It's continuing to go up. And we're only producing 13, but we're sending 2-3 million overseas. So we have a deficit of 10 million. And if there's countries out there that don't want to give us oil, or if they want to cut back, and you've seen OPEC, cut 1 million barrels a day, well, that's significant. I mean, that's a lot of oil. And that's the reason why you'll see it doesn't matter how much we're producing, prices continue to go up because of that exact reason right there.
Mm. So the big deal is we do need presidents who want to promote the oil and natural gas industry, but some changes take a long time to correct, and so it won't be an instantaneous type of a thing even if we're able to get President Trump back in office.
Right. Exactly. And the infrastructure needed, and the money needed, and a lot of other factors that just don't, like I said, just don't turn on the faucet, and oil comes out of the ground 1 million barrels a day or 2 million barrels a day, which is needed. But our refineries are in bad shape here in the United States, and we've got to. But it's hard to fix that problem, especially with all the regulations and restrictions that administrations put on it. And the only money maker there are attorneys. Attorneys are making tons of money because they have to go back in and to increase a refinery. It's hard. And I know President Biden had the chance that he could have, just stroked a piece of paper with his signature, and we could have increased our refineries production. But but he never did, and he didn't want to. He's like, no, I don't. That's not my deal. I don't want to increase our refineries. I don't want oil and gas, and so he wasn't going to go anywhere close to that.
Yep. And so now here we are. I think the big deal is to be as informed as possible, to jump out there, get your information from the best sources, and then we have to vote for the long-term betterment of this country. Supporting our oil and natural gas industry is just a natural outgrowth of seeing how fantastic our lives are in our high-carbon society. There's no other way to live. The other countries want what we have. They're trying to get where we are. We should not destroy what we've built. It's taken such a long time to get here. The infrastructure is beautifully comprised, and we need to maintain it and promote it and protect it. It's always such a pleasure when you drop by. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight, Jay Young, author, founder, and CEO of King Operating Corporation. It's kingoperating.com.
Right. And you can get my book there. I've got the audio book. I don't really care about money. I give money to charity on my book. But The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing is the book. The audio book is on the website, kingoperating.com. Be free to go there. And if you write me a note and say, hey, I'm a credit investor and I'd like to look at one of your programs, I'll send you an autographed copy of my book, just overnight, and you can read it and understand it. It talks about the different ways that people can invest or not invest. I tell people don't invest. If you get a call from somebody on the telephone, don't pick up the phone and go, oh yeah, well, I'll invest, 50, 100 grand of your hard-earned money in it. Don't do that. There's ways to do it, but I've got the secrets in my Upside of Oil and Gas Investing book, and but I wrote it with Forbes, and it's a great book, and I look to redo it. In the next year, I'm gonna do the second edition because there's a lot of things that are changing in our economy, and there's a lot of things that are changing in regards to how the retail investor can literally go on and look at, hey, can I put $100,000 in? Can I get tax benefits, and can I get monthly income, and scale the investment to sell it in the future? That's what we do. So, Stacy, I really appreciate you having me on, and best of luck. And I'm honored to be on your program.
So glad you're here. Thank you so much, Jay Young, for joining us tonight on the show. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.